One of these days we're gonna get a copyright strike, and I'm not gonna be mad about it.
The survivors in the fucking header, they might find us. Welcome to The Vibe Has Spoken, the number one Survivor after show. Not number one. I don't know what we're doing.
It's the number one Survivor after show on this channel, and that is undeniable.
Yeah.
And that is probably temporary. Joe can probably do something and get it done a lot faster.
And it's a weekly show, right? Very, very much.
It's a weekly show, except for when it's not.
Yeah, so I'm
Every
Adelaide.
Wednesday,
That's
except for when it's on
Cameron.
Thursday.
This person is new, and you'll meet him in a second. We didn't do last week because we didn't want to. And we didn't do it yesterday because he had shit going on.
Because of medical emergencies.
Yeah, long fucking day for both of my for two of my Alba's shit. So we're here and my internet's dying. So Matthew is here to help you. Matthew, what do you think of the season so far?
It's not good. Not a great season. And there is one person saving it this episode.
Banu.
Banu.
The memory of Banu is what we hold on to here.
You won my heart.
Okay, so I'll do a quick catch up from last week because we did miss it, and there are important things to talk about. Number one, Hunter found the Beware advantage. Will it become an idol? We'll talk about it in 5 minutes. Yanu didn't lose the challenge. Holy shit. Jem acquires her idol and then goes home with it. And then on the journey, they propose an alliance of only the strong men because the strong men always get targeted.
But to be fair, all the strong men were like, we're going to pull in an extra person. And most of the strong men's extra people were women.
And Hunter did a challenge on the journey where he had to put all of the Survivor logos in order, half of them in order. And he got 8 out of 20.
To be fair, putting Karamoan in the wrong spot just screwed everything up.
Yeah, it's the shift of like, yeah, you get 20 wrong because you put one in the wrong place and it shifts everything up by a bunch.
It
So it's
doesn't
like-
matter. You minored in math briefly. Numbers are numbers. He's stupid. He's still hot, but a little dumb. Hunter called
Except
me.
he is good at other puzzles, as we will.
True. And we got that this week. Do y'all have
And
any more
there's
thoughts
been
about
no
it?
drama involving puzzles in the Survivor community at all this
None
week.
at all.
Completely unrelated. Check out Outplay Puzzles on Etsy. We are not sponsored in any way, but we'd rather shout them out for free than be sponsored by that other guy who charges 200 Canadian dollars for a puzzle that's 3D printed.
Because he's a poor business startup with a small loan of $1 million from his dad who works at NASA. What are y'all's thoughts on last week's episode before we get to this week?
I thought last week's was arguably the best of the
I
season.
agree. Yeah.
Like dynamic gameplay, fun character moments, big setup, a solid blind side.
Yeah.
Finally, we get to look at a new tribe.
We stand Jem.
Dude, I will say postseason press from Jem is great. That's part of the upset of this is like you have some time away from it. She's just shitting on everybody, which is part of why I love Venus. We can get to that for today's episode. But just like, no, I fucking hate my tribe. How dare you backstab me? We had a majority and you flipped to go with the men, to go with Tim. Yuck.
All my homies hate Tim.
No, yeah, Jem is absolutely a vibe, and I'm really upset that we lost her so soon.
And also, Maria used her extra vote, and it wasn't really
For no
necessary.
reason. Why? Like, if
So to be fair, she said that the advantage was out there. Might as well get rid of it so that she lowers her threat level.
That's fair.
that's fair, but if it's not needed, they wouldn't come up. Like, it turns a 4-2 into a 5-2. Once it becomes, or I guess once it becomes a 4-2, yeah, they stop reading votes. So there's no proof that it's a 5-2.
Mhm.
So you can't prove you used your advantage.
Well,
That's
but
just
it would have been a
you-
4-2 anyways because Ben didn't have a vote.
Or
That's
Oh.
right. Yeah.
okay, that's fair then. That was a smart play. Good on you, Maria. I hope you win. Yeah, that's all I got to say. We can go on to this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. All right. So everyone is told you're merging. Woo. Yanu is like, fuck this. They literally throw their buffs in the fire. That's a lot of money you just threw out there. That's fucking. That goes well on fucking on eBay with or without the system. Like it's just really nice to have. And then Sega-ing is boring. And then they go to fucking Nami. And Hunter's like, hey guys, I'm so excited. I'm gonna run away.
I'm so excited. I'm gonna dance down the beach. We did it.
Hey, where are you going?
Hey Hunter, what are you up to? I'm just gonna sit on these stairs over here. Don't mind me.
I
We gotta
do
get the camp
really-
ready. I'm getting the stairs ready.
I do really love what they're doing with the idols of like actually like hiding them in very difficult places, making them all unique. Not the most balanced.
I mean, Hunter had like no time when like with the merge, right?
Yeah.
Right, but
They're
in the
like, hey,
sense of
drop your
like
buffs. Everyone will be here in 5 minutes. Like
it does seem like they would have repurposed that message whether or not he like went to tribal pre-merge.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a big difference between that and running with the machete around camp, or like last season where you have to like decipher it on the tribe sign.
I did love the machete.
then you take
part
up a
in the last
hammer and
episode.
you follow a rope that's tied to a hammer, and then you beat your tribe mates with a hammer, and that's how you get immunity, is by being the only one left.
It's just it seemed like I think it's a really good idea. I almost might prefer it if you like keep those great ideas sparsed out and then do all the same shit. Because like while it's repetitive in this season, I think it might make things unfair. From like a viewer's perspective, I think we might be like, well, there's different levels of threat here of people having to do these actions.
That's fair, and like I think this was touched on in 45. Is like in 45, Austin had to look at a sign, dig up a hammer, follow a rope, and he got an idol.
Yeah.
Sabaya couldn't get hers without fire, and she
Yeah.
was on a tribe that couldn't have fire because they couldn't win a challenge to save their lives.
Like, so
Such
43 was all of them the beat with the beads, or was it just Cody?
43 was the social challenge with the beads. 44 was
Yeah.
the bird cage shit.
bird cages.
45 is the unique stuff.
Mm-hmm.
45 is the unique stuff, and then 41 and 42. I still love the stupid idle phrases. I still love.
There is such grace in the game of soccer. I could cry.
I stand by. I'm as confused as a goat on AstroTurf. Is top tier. That is Nasir.
Why did we not? That should have been our trivia nicknames or trivia team names, not Portland Scale Blazers. We should have been
The goats on AstroTurf.
butterflies in mailboxes or whatever the fuck it was.
The bunny rabbit in the mailbox. And
Whatever,
it's
mailbox.
when I see a butterflies are just I believe butterflies are just dead relatives saying hi. And then I've never
Broccoli
thought
crab.
about it until now, but broccoli is just small trees.
Are we
And then
all just
potatoes have skin. I have skin.
Yes,
Am
yeah,
I a
like
potato?
potato? Yes.
The fact that I remember all of these means I have severe brain rot.
Yeah. And then they merge. Whoa. And there's a question I've been meaning to ask you both, namely you, because you have played Survivor to an extent. So I think you would have an opinion.
I've played Internet Survivor, and I've also technically been on reality television. So
Will they count as reality television?
it's a non-scripted show. So by its very
Fair.
nature, technically, yes.
Yeah. Mo lying about being left out of the vote really rubbed me the wrong way.
I think I get it to a degree where like Sega really goes in with the mentality of like, be unbreakable, be an unbreakable 5. And like I don't dislike that idea in theory because it sets you up as a block that like you can work with that block very easily. That block guarantees you 5 numbers if you get in with them. The problem, a big part of the problem, is the fact that with how the split worked out, not a lot of members of the 6 people that were able to be targeted. 4 of them were from Ziga, 2 were from Nami, none were from Yanu, and so Siga being this unbreakable block, now with them being some of the only targets and with Yanu completely safe, you're incentivized to go after that block.
I just, even at the bare minimum, I think maybe my perspective is skewed, but it feels weird to say that we look like I'm less of a target if I'm on the outs when everyone agrees that Siga in general as a group is an issue. Why would you not want to separate yourself from them? Why would you not want to say, hey, I wanted, what was it, Tim? No, it was Ben. I wanted Ben out last round. He's great. If you want to vote him, if you don't want to vote him, I understand, but I want someone from my
Ben wasn't on the block.
Right. What I'm saying is like, why would you not have that conversation initially? Is like, why wouldn't you? I think because it was her, Mariah, and Charlie, and that was it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Maria.
You right.
Was
Maria,
also on the block?
Mariah, Charlie.
Mhm.
Okay.
Maria Mariah.
Why would you not flip that and say like, hey, I got on the block. I like my name came up. I want, or I was up to the vote. I want any of those 3 gone. I will vote with you on any of those 3. But if you go to Nami and say that, they won't want it. Their first instinct won't be to flip on Venus. That's a loyal, and you can fucking take them out 1, 2, 3. Because that's what they've done this whole fucking game. All these new era seasons is just pick a tribe off. Why would she not lean into that?
I think it's a double-edged sword, and I think that like, and I've seen people talk about it, the fact that like, because of how this round works, Mariah didn't have much of a choice. Because at the end of the day, Mariah can be incentivized to flip and make that public if she can use it to work herself into a majority group when there's fracturing happening all around. But what happened, which I've seen people mention on Twitter and online, is that like playing from the bottom is near impossible in a round like this because you have a group of 7 people who go to a reward feast that are all immune, and they, as a group of 7, talked it out, and basically the 7 of them came to an agreement of like, hey, are we cool with Mariah? We're cool with Mariah. And at that point, Mariah's best bet is not to flip on her allies that she had before and say, I'll go against you. Her best bet is to stay as loyal as she could to those people and hope her allies in that group that's formed move the target away from her and her group. Because at the end of the day, the Sigas were always going to, in theory, were always going to target a Nami. And the Namis, in theory, were always going to target a Siga. And breaking that is really, really hard to do, especially when you have to go from one side to the other. Because whatever side you leave, you then actively turn against you.
Mhm.
And then the Yanus are a block of 3 that are all in the safe group. They get to make a lot of the decision.
I guess there is the fear of being like a Cochrane at that point. 1.0.
Mhm.
Well, like the flipper becomes the immediate target, and then you've already lost the game for everyone else.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's a very complicated dynamic necessitated by a twist that I think is dumb.
Mergatory.
They
There's an
earned the
important-
merge by making it that far, Jeffrey.
There is an important thing to bring up, though, and it's that one Survivor player is really threatening and scary to go against.
Is it Boston
Aubrey.
Rob?
Aubrey Bracco.
Aubrey Bracco is terrifying, a massive threat who made it to the end once, and then her following 2 games, no one respected her.
It's true. I mean,
Almost
to be
like
fair,
it's
I think there's somebody who said like Edge of Extinction, like people I think respected her, but the cast of Edge of Extinction hated the idea of return. Like as a person and even as a player, I think they respect Aubrey. They don't respect the fact that she's a returnee, and that's what got her booted so early. Is the fact that like you can tell watching Edge of Extinction, like specifically the members of whatever the hell that tribe is, Manu, Lesu, and the third one, which is what they are. Whatever. Rick Devens was never on that tribe, so I don't know their name. But that tribe, everyone there is very vocal for the fact that, like, hey, comma. Oh, right, comma. I don't want to cede to comma control. I'm in comma control. But comma, all the new players except for Aurora were like, hey, these returning players, they had their chance. Let's get them out of here. We'll keep Joe around because he wins challenges for us, and also because like we can't get rid of him because he doesn't lose a challenge in the pre-merge of that season. Like,
he just didn't look like that insanely strong. Jonathan went to more pre-merge tribal councils, and he is the biggest man to ever play Survivor. Why is Joe so unbeatable?
Yeah, it's here's the thing is like we're going completely off topic from the episode, but like I've seen videos where people talk about this. Like Joe is objectively a terrible Survivor player. From a gameplay standpoint, Joe is bad. Joe has basically never Joe has made it to the merge every time he plays, but basically never makes it through a post-merge round without immunity. No one you don't let Joe, because Joe can't form the social bonds to overcome how physical of a threat he is, and it destroys him.
I don't want to give enough. I don't want to get a lot of weight to Joe Anglim, Sierra Thomas, but at the same time,
hey, that's fan
I
favorite
think
changer Sierra Dawn Thomas to you.
Oh, God damn it.
Thomas Ingram, I thought.
Oh yeah.
My issue with that though is like, what if he just has never gotten the chance because he's always such a massive threat? Like, look at Ozzy in Game Changers, who walked in and Debbie's like, hey, you want to put him out? Yeah, sure. He's that much of a fucking threat. He literally can't do anything else. Like, I do wonder if like Joe put on like 30 pounds, went by a different name, would he get targeted? Like, what would his game look like?
And that's the there is something to be said about being an inherent physical threat that people are incentivized to take you out, because at the end of the day, the most reliable, the easiest way to be safe going into any round is to win immunity. If there is someone still in this game who is objectively incredible, well-rounded immunity challenge player for Survivor, I would want them gone, because if they are there, like if I'm on a season with Joe, absolutely the first time Joe is not immune, I'm getting rid of him, because if Joe is there, I will never win an immunity challenge. It will never happen.
Joe needs to actually pass out to have any chance at losing.
I think the episode where he passed out is, I think, actually the only time he made it through a round without immunity.
That's the round that he went home.
Is that the round he went home?
Yeah. Because it's like, it's literally what can you do? He literally gave everything he could, and it wasn't enough.
But yeah, you mentioned Aubrey Bracco, and people are like, "Hey, you say," and it wasn't even Mariah being like, "I want to play like Aubrey." I'm like,
it's
Aubrey's
the one she relates to the most.
Q asked, "How long have you been watching Survivor?" And Mariah said, "I started watching with Aubrey and Co. Wrong. She was the first person who really got me in." And Q was like, "You mentioned Aubrey, you gotta go." Like,
Michelle Truther, Q.
like even though Aubrey is like one of the most commonly cited what
She's the
Survivor
first
player do
person
you
on the
think you're
fucking
most like?
IMDb page for Survivor. Like you open it, her face is on that trailer for Game Changers or Cobra.
It's
Whatever. Like
valid.
she is one of the faces.
I think she's one of the, like, if we're looking at especially Survivor in the 30s, like
Hmm.
there's an argument to be made that like she is the biggest player and character from the 30s.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like played 3 times within 6 seasons, did very well on 2 of them.
Hmm.
And Q is like, "Hey, you mentioned Aubrey, you got to go," because Aubrey gets far in the game, but Aubrey's never won the game. Aubrey's only made it to Final Tribal once, and we're not going to
lost it
get
for
into the
herself.
Aubrey v Michelle debate because that's how you make people mad in the Survivor community.
Hey, if you want viewers, we can talk about it.
We'll do a full podcast episode of just Aubrey v Michelle, who wins, and
We'll get like
settle-
1,000 views
and we'll
1,000
we'll
dislikes.
settle on the fact that Ty should have won go.
Tie.
Okay, so we get to the challenge, and
Yes.
of course we talked about it. It's the split. Ben, Q, Kenzie, Hunter, Tevin, and Tim get immunity, where Charlie, Soda, Mo, Venus, Mariah, and Liz are not immune. Cosmo, get the fuck over here.
There's a great bit when they name their heights.
Yeah.
Great moment.
That was my favorite thing is I didn't realize it at first, but like they're lined up from tallest to shortest when they go to draw rocks, and seeing just truly how short Liz is, I was like, oh goodness. And then
Yeah.
she said she's like, I'm 5 foot even. I was like, oh no, girl. Oh no.
Here's the thing: they did really well.
It should not have been that. Like the moment that challenge started and knowing what that challenge was, I was like, I don't know how they're even gonna get up the giant rope or up the big boulder. Like, I don't know how they're gonna do this because most of them can't reach that high.
Mhm.
Like, what's the plan here?
But they conquered it, and all the love and respect in the world. There is nothing mean to this. Soda is the only reason they lost that challenge, at least in the edits, because it looked like she was the one who took the longest for. I think it was the for the
Mud?
ball.
Oh, there's the ball. Oh no,
Yeah.
because they did the human ladder thing. So
Yeah, no, that went really good.
Mhm.
Like it went pretty fast. I think Soda was. I think she was like the first, or no, it was the ladder of the ball. I forget, but she was like they like the edit focused on her for so long.
Mhm.
It seemed like she was the one. Everyone else did really fucking good, which I guess makes sense. I don't get Liz 100% because she's allergic to like everything, which I assume was also like winning immunity. But Charlie, Mo,
She's not allergic
Venus,
to
and
being
Mariah.
poor. So,
Yeah,
or sorry,
well-
she is allergic to being poor. She's not allergic to money.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
not allergic to money.
You know what? That joke was going to be so good if I didn't screw it up.
Okay, let's run it back. We're not live. It's fine. And we come to
Smash the hourglass. It's fine.
we come to the classic Survivor challenge of do 1,000 things. They got to crawl under a mud net, push a cart, and then gather sandbags. Get the sandbags and climb up a rope wall, and then slide down the rope slide, and then push a ball and climb up the ball. And then at the top of the ball, you have to solve a 3-part circle puzzle. Which the puzzle is fucking awesome.
It's a very
love
cool
the
puzzle,
ingenuity there.
and you can buy a replica of it from Outplay Puzzles on Etsy, and no other places unless you want to spend. And this is an exact number that I remember because I looked it up earlier today: 192 Canadian dollars for 3D printed plastic bullshit from a twink who got 4th place.
My favorite part about that puzzle is that everybody had to work on it.
Right.
I
That is the
really
perfect way to do
I have one small complaint with that puzzle. They said three sections. Section puzzle, and one of the sections is just 2 sections. It really annoyed me
The top
because
looked
the
empty.
bottom, the 2 sides, and the top.
That's fucked up.
So the
Just
2
make-
sides is one
Do the
section,
peace sign.
but
The
it's
peace sign
2
is the perfect 3.
and it really annoyed me.
I mean, again, I think that's the perfect way to do a pre-merge challenge. Pre-merge, mergatory.
Mergatory.
It is technically pre-merged by the rules of what Based
Because
on what
it's-
Jeff says,
after Tribal
because
is
they have to
Congrats
earn, because winning that challenge earns them a place
Yeah.
at the merge.
Mhm.
This is technically pre-merge, but it's also the merge, but it's also not. And I miss when Survivor was not complicated and Rick Devens ran around saying, "Oh yeah." Edge of Extinction top 5 season. Don't at me. Unless you agree, then at me.
number 10 for me. Or no, it's or 9. It's 9, 10, or 11.
It's pure
It's right there.
entertainment.
It's so
It's-
good.
That's the next
How
season.
much
Right?
now?
No, actually, no. It's between that and 42, which is whichever. One of
Both
those.
are great seasons.
One of those is the next Survivor season I watch.
I think
Both
you
are-
should do Edge of Extinction next because it's one of the better ones.
It's
But in my opinion, I think the best way to do it is just like either work backwards or work up. That way you have like a clear pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, you're starting on one end of quality and ending on another.
if you watch Edge of Extinction, you do get to see the greatest tribal council in American Survivor history, though.
And one of the hottest men ever played Survivor for multiple reasons.
Rick Devens.
Rick Devens.
The only Survivor contestant to
How
ever
big's
be
the
Jane
hog?
And then we just get a series of great quotes as they're talking about tribal and working things out. Specifically, Venus, Queen, never go home, play every season, win every season. Says there's no feast for Venus, but I hope they choke on that food. Which
That's a great
is
quote. Yeah.
amazing.
Like I'm going to say this knowing that this term gets thrown around a lot for no good reason, but all the time there especially in the 20s and the 30s of Survivor, there was the phrase of like the Parvati 2.0 of like, oh, we got to get rid of this girl, she's too much like Parvati, she's gonna be great. Venus is like the first new era person that I'm like, you know what? If people said that, I wouldn't be like mad or disagreeing with them. I'd be like, I can see it. She has the snark and the sass and the playing from the bottom that she has in most of her seasons.
Well, no, she's Courtney Yates.
Courtney.
Ooh, we do love Courtney Yates.
Because I think the big thing with Parvati is like individual manipulation, and we don't have that from Venus yet. Right now, she's just
Yet.
very fun. I think the difference between a Courtney and a Parvati is explicit gameplay.
I mean,
She
that's
hasn't had a
fair, but
chance to
also
play.
if you believe what some people say, like before the final tribal of China, if they voted blind without that final tribal, Courtney was winning that season. Based
Really?
on reports, Courtney
I did see
would have
that.
won 3-2-2, I believe, going into that final tribal.
I don't. Do I want to? I think actually that makes history better. I think that actually makes everything better.
Because I think she was getting like Frosty, James, and Jean Robert's votes, which was all she would have needed.
Why would Jean Robert vote for her?
I don't know.
Okay.
The Survivor China final tribal, I stand by that. Final 3 is one of the greatest of all
greatest.
time. Because if any of the 3 of them won, they'd
Top
be
tier
a great
winners.
winner, and it would be great. But also, like that final tribal is literally just Todd running a clinic on everyone.
Is there a universe where if Amanda wins China, Courtney ends up on Micronesia?
No, because she was asked and said no.
Oh,
I
shit.
believe this is historically documented. Courtney was asked and declined because she didn't want to play twice back to back. And then was on Heroes versus Villains
Okay.
later.
Mhm.
I believe that is confirmed to be true because 16 was originally going to be All Stars 2, but they couldn't get enough of the people they wanted. So it became fans versus favorites.
That's so silly.
This is all stuff that I'm saying with not 100% confidence if I'm remembering correctly that that's the truth.
You
But I
can do a
believe it's
mid-tier
accurate.
All-Star season. Just don't call it All-Stars. Call it Game Changers. Or just call it All-Stars because everyone said it's a mid-season. I love All-Stars.
I stand by the fact
All-Stars
that
is a great season with
we did our
random
All-Stars
ones.
cast a while ago, and I put them on the Survivor Reddit, and people were like, why do you have some of these random picks? Go back in time in Survivor history and look at who some of the people on All-Stars were before All-Stars and tell me that Amber Burkich Mariano is not a random pick to put on that season.
Now
Tell
that
me
I've
that,
seen,
frankly,
now
Boston
everything-
Rob is a random pick to put on All-Stars. Jenna Lewis, why is
Jenna
she
Lewis.
now that I've seen Survivor Australia, like
It
her
makes
and
no-
Jerry, I think Jerry being like a fucking demonized villain is ridiculous. When all she does is she's a little mean and wanted to fuck Colby for like a minute. That's it. That's all she fucking does the whole season. She's a girl from LA. That's her problem. That's ridiculous. Jerry was never a proper villain in my opinion, which is crazy considering how great
No.
she is versus villains.
But like her leaning into it is
Oh,
a
yeah.
great time.
But like that's the thing is like the first All-Star season, when looking at it through the lens of when that was being made, some of the biggest who's and why are you here's were Rob and Amber.
Yeah.
Those were, I think, looking at like Rob, Amber, Jenna Lewis are the three big question mark why are you here casting choices. Absolutely.
I stand by. The best players in full returnee seasons are Why Are You Here's.
Kelly
Kelly
Wentworth.
Because Kelly Wentworth, even in Game Changer, you have Sarah, who I think is pretty unremarkable in her first season. Even like the final three. Who gives a fuck about Troyzan? Who gives a fuck about
Not
Brad
the editors
Culpepper?
of Survivor Game Changers.
Or what are other full returnee seasons? Like I think Sandra winning again is
Heroes
is
versus
crazy.
Villains
Yeah.
has like an actual solid 3,
Yeah.
but also like Heroes versus Villains really only has one sneak on the whole cast. And that person is Danielle DiLorenzo.
Oh yeah, that's very
What
true.
are you talking
Yes.
The
about?
captain of sports. I'm sorry, but if we're
Candace
putting a villain
from
from
Ruro
Panama
Tribe?
on that, she absolutely should not have been. Why was Candace on the here? Actually, no, we do have a sneak. Why is Candace on the here?
Yeah.
And then Jeremy Collins. Jeremy Collins winning Cambodia is the reason why I think Caleb Greenwald is going to win Survivor New Era All Stars. Is the people who go right around the merge always win the returnee seasons. Again, I think
Trying to do the
with
math
Sandra
of,
being
like,
the exception,
casting on this,
because
but, like
Rob went around I think right before merge.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Then it's
I mean,
Jeremy who was the
Amber-
merge. Who was like
Rob
second
didn't.
merge
Rob
boots.
didn't win All Stars,
Right.
No, Amber
And
though.
Amber
Yeah.
was I think like mid merge.
Amber.
Yeah. And then Jeremy went at the merge. Sarah went at the merge, and really anything else I'm forgetting. I
mean, winners at war doesn't count.
I guess
Yeah.
Cochran.
Although if you average the first two
Cochran
placements of the
ran
winner-
around pre-merge,
Yeah.
and Parvati didn't, but she didn't really like do anything, so I'm not going to count it.
I mean, Parvati also didn't win a full returnee season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the sense of I think players who have a lower threat radar are able to get away with more shit.
Yeah, no, the lower your
Yeah.
reputation, typically the better you do.
Yeah.
Where like there's a reason why on Game Changers it's like, hey, we have to get like there's a reason that the pre-merge of Game Changers is both great and terrible in a way because you get all these top tier returnees absolutely deserve to be there, but you watch them get massacred and then you reach the merge and you're like, why is anybody
Game Changers
I mean, it's
has one of my
it's similar
favorite
to Winners at War.
pre-merges.
the
Winners at
pre-merge of
War
Game
is-
Changers is great, and then the post-merge is also Survivor.
I think Winners at War is so good because like I just like it. It's in the sense of like I like finale seasons a lot, whereas these are characters who are fully realized, who continue developing and seeing them clash with each other. I think that's amazing, and I love seeing what that looks like. I think it's hard to fuck that up for me.
Mm-hmm. But I do think like the pre-merge, like whoever, everyone that gets out during pre-merge is just like.
I was so hoping Yule would make merge. He was so close.
A very fun fact about Survivor Winners at War, because the two of you didn't get into Survivor until after the
I do
pandemic.
know this fact though. It's
New era.
so hilarious.
Is that the episode of Winners at War where the double boot of Parvati and Sandra happens was the last episode of Survivor. I forgot about the balloon thing. The episode of Survivor Winners at War, where the Parvati Sandra double boot episode happens, was the last episode of Survivor to air before the COVID-19 pandemic officially became like a global thing and locked everyone down. So in a way, like what a dark time to be a Survivor fan living in the world.
Yeah.
But then again, that's also like it's part of why the family, like, if I remember reading correctly, like the family visit episode in Winners at War was not originally as heavily devoted in time to the family visit, but they re-edited it a little because they were like, hey, everyone in the world is in a real shitty place right now. Let's give them more of the really happy stuff for the episode. And also, this episode ends with Tyson getting eliminated for very confusing reasons. And we can't really explain it, so we might as well just not even try.
That I like.
So, Survivor 46.
I don't have a whole lot to add. I think because this phase is basically Venus versus Mariah. People are leaning Mariah. And then Venus is like, hey, let's not vote out a woman. Look at all these scary men. Let's take out Charlie. And then everyone's like, okay, well, fuck Venus for trying to protect herself.
Mm-hmm. And like Charlie is clearly a better player than Mo.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some people want to keep her around. I also, speaking of Charlie being a better player, if we want to jump ahead to the tribal council, people get mad at Charlie online. They shouldn't be. Charlie made an objectively incredibly smart move, especially knowing what we know about Survivor.
When they're sharing this shit, like fuck NDAs, this is all gone now.
Yeah, they're going wild on Twitter, but like we saw at the merge of Survivor 45 that every single person voted for one player. That player played a shot in the dark. It was successful. They were safe. And then someone got screwed out of it at the end.
Okay, yeah. Can I just talk on this briefly? So you target Caleb for being a massive threat. Rightfully so. He's an incredible player. And then you target J Maya. If you're like, hey, let's take out a threat, why don't you pull a fucking I'm jumping ship and target someone worth a damn? I love J Maya. But what is that move?
J Maya is the world pun champion.
Was
twice, I think. And if that's not threatening, I don't know what. But like going back to 46, like Charlie, even not having like there's no way Charlie knows what happens on 45, has no information that happens, but correctly plays the strategy from his end of, hey, I know my name, like knows that Mariah's name is the big one in the conversation, and likely rightfully knows that if Mariah ends up being safe through an idle play or through a shot in the dark play, he's next. Mm-hmm. So he makes sure to preempt that by by writing down the name of his target, who he knows isn't going to get the majority, but one vote is all it takes if Mariah ends up being safe, and writes down Venus. And some people are getting mad at him for it. I think it is objectively a very smart and correct move. Like, as much as all the beef on Twitter has been revealing, like, hey, Venus was being very good to Charlie, and Charlie turned around and voted for her. Like, at the end of the day, if he gets sole credit for taking out Venus, a person who almost everybody seems to be against in some way, shape, or form, like, come the end of the game, that's a big move that you can credit entirely to yourself. No one else helped you do that. Like, I think writing down Venus's name is exclusively good for Charlie.
Well, I think it's important to note for history, like why that I think adds like some quality there, or adds some weight there, is because Mo told Charlie beforehand, "Hey, I'm playing my shot in the dark." And then Charlie says, "Okay, I have to be the one to split the vote because I'm the only person that you're telling." The other issue, though, is that Venus also told Mo that, hey, everyone's going to vote for you. But why would you fucking target Venus? Do anyone else? Target fucking Soda as like if you're fucking
target Nami.
Yeah, if you're seeking strong, target the only other fucking nom you can and vote out Soda. Why are you targeting someone who actively said
They
that she
could
was
have
going
targeted
to?
Liz.
Or
She's
Liz.
putting her head in the fucking block to protect you. Why do you want her out? I get that Venus said Charlie's name. Talk it out, bro.
I stand by. I think it's a good move. We'll see how all of this plays out and pays off for people when we get the stupid 6-6 split, but we'll get there.
Yeah, the
Is not.
tribal.
Yeah, is there anything else to say after Mo's boot? Shot in the dark fail. She goes home 11-1.
I think
Not
it's
really.
sneak peek, I guess, of next episode.
I will say, I think Mo announcing at Tribal Council, hey guys, just so you know, it was actually a split vote last tribal. I got blindsided. Way too late, bro.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like you make your last ditch. Like
Your
it's
back's
better to
against
make
the
your
wall.
last ditch effort than to not make it. Like
Yeah.
I don't fault her for saying that because like she was copying the votes anyways, and she was taking the best shot she could at changing people's perceptions of her in the moment and trying to shift it off of her, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
I agree. I think to that point though, like you need to like you remember Carla in 43, how it's like you're my last effort and cause chaos by making it a live tribal. I think that's the only way to make that kind of thing work. Of like you won't just say like, hey, here's the thing. Will all of you change your votes now? You need to like push that chaos a little bit. Like really get that shit started.
To be fair, there's also something to be said about like I am a person who is well documented as loving live tribals. I love when tribal goes live. I think it's very entertaining. Survivor, Edge of Extinction, greatest tribal council of all time. When you cut to commercial, second greatest tribal council of all time, Australian Survivor, Heroes versus Villains, episode 7. When you go to tribal and there are 40 minutes left in an episode, you know you are in for the greatest episode of Survivor you will ever watch. But like, there's also times where I think live tribals suck. Notably, in Survivor 41, there is the instance where Heather tries as hard as she can to make a tribal live, and it frankly doesn't work, and it's just awful. It's just terrible. But like, I think, like, because the first I think like truly live tribal is probably what like. I've seen debates on this. I think the one I've seen that I agree with the most is the first truly live tribal being the Three Amigos tribal in Caramoan.
That's fair. I thought it was Game Changers.
Game Changers is the first like everyone's getting up out of their seats, running around whispering thing, but like
where Malcolm like pops the idol. Hey guys, so what are you gonna do now?
Yeah, but like the Caramoan tribal where like there's the clear 3 on the bottom and they go, we have the immunity necklace and 2 idols, have fun. Although I also think I have stated this before, the Three Amigos tribal is a very bad play from them in execution because they tell the other people who they're voting for.
Yeah,
they should have let the other group fracture all on their own instead of giving them a cop out.
Yeah.
Would the Keith versus the no votes count tribal in
that's
Cambodia.
That goes live, but also like it goes live in a weird where like a tie that goes to a big discussion is like I don't necessarily call that a live tribal because the format dictates that there is an open discussion.
And that's live after Caramoan anyways.
Yeah. Which, by the way, now that I've seen Survivor Africa, Survivor Australia, Australia,
okay.
Kimmy, of all people, getting second.
Kimmy, I did not understand that.
I do really like her in Australia, but she should have been a really fun character once. Her coming back is really.
If you thought you liked her in Australia, you should look up her current modern day political.
You know what? I'm good. I don't need to.
I was confused why she came back when I was watching Second Chance.
It's something. Not to be fair, not the worst views and actions of a Survivor Australia alumnus who was on Survivor Cambodia Second Chance?
She might be top 3 worst. No, she might not be top 3 worst people in Survivor Australia.
She's at best third. Or at worst third, at best third.
Yeah.
She's not top 2.
Okay.
It's an insane world to live in where you're like, oh, Jeff Varner's the worst person from Survivor Australia. And it's like, actually, no.
Yes.
No, he's not. Okay, while we're on the subject of not talking about the number 1 worst guy, can I tell you guys, this was a thing that I got reminded of today. That's one of my favorite Survivor anecdotes ever. Which is in Survivor San Juan del Sur. They cast John Rocker. John Rocker, notably controversial person,
has a controversial past, and so tries to avoid it by using an alias and using a fake name. And so it's Wes Nail is asking John. He's like, "What's your last name, John?" And John says, "My name's John, professional baseball player."
You cut out the second you said his last
A
name.
different famous professional baseball player who got arrested for the same thing that Mike Skupin did.
Oh my god.
John Rocker's disguise to ensure people didn't know he was the notoriously bad person baseball player was to use the name of a different worse person baseball player. And I find that very funny.
Anything else?
To talk about? We really didn't talk about that much.
Next week is the double tribal with a demerge, which is stupid as fuck. Stop it. Because what's going to happen is the person who goes home first is not on a jury. They just made the merge. Why are they not on a fucking jury? They just earned the merge. What are you earning? Harder work? No, fuck you.
You're earning the merge.
I really hope Tim goes here. I need Tim to go.
Promo was leaning towards Q, which means Q doesn't go.
It'd be really weird for Q to go out so early.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be Q anyway.
According to the Edu charts, I haven't been looking at them for this season, frankly, and I don't care.
I think it's like Tiffany and Maria are like 2 of the top.
I think Hunter is
Hunter's gonna get sniped. He's gonna be like booted 5th or 4th or some shit.
His social game's really good right now, where I feel like he'll be okay. But
I thought Tevin was gonna do really good, and he's like getting no screen time.
His edit, with like this episode, it doesn't.
I'm shocked at how little screen time Tevin is getting, given A, how prominent he was in the preseason promos, and B, the stuff we've gotten from Tevin in this season is very entertaining and good.
Tevin is so close to being a Courtney. So close.
I think the biggest problem with Tevin, especially looking at it from like an edit standpoint, is like Tevin is being portrayed so much as right-hand man to Hunter. I didn't say nothing. I 1,000,000% was fully unintentional, and you know it would be because you know I would use that word.
All right.
I was looking at the Edu chart, and I was looking at the name Charlie, and then I started saying Hunter, and I'm very
We'll
sorry.
see you next week on Survivor. The Vibe has spoken.
Episode several.
The actual name of next week.
Legend Jelinski.
Why is it choppy this time? It was just me.
David Jelinski